channel message from the collective energies that are interested and invested in the change, the shift of what's happening on the planet right now.
Yesterday, I got the biggest download at the same time that TikTok reminded me about that video. So I stitched it to give you the update of information about the season end reset, whatever you want to call it, that's been given to me. And I think the reason that this is coming out now is because they're telling me that this is the last year, the 12th year of a 12-year cycle that started in 2012. And so people as part of that collective, people who received a big, huge awakening in 2012, this especially is for you. And I just want to preface this and say that this that we're arriving to is a choice point, meaning that the natural disaster or the catastrophe that is going to kind of change the course of the planet is one of those things that can't really be avoided. The degree of severity can be adjusted depending on the collective, but it's going to happen. And what I'm going to share with you is a timeline, but there are multiple timelines that could come from it. It really depends on the percentages of the collective that are in any of the categories that I'm about to talk about. Okay, so the first thing is that a lot of people in the ascension journey are talking about kind of changing the consciousness of the planet. And what that means, in my terms, how it's been presented to me, is that it basically means awakened and unawakened. And we're not talking about spirituality, like living in love and light. It's literally who's recognizing that the systems are false and fake and made up, and who is still stuck in fear and participating in those systems. To reduce the severity of the event and to move our planet in a very specific trajectory, obviously we would want more people to be in the awakened category, recognizing that the systems are fear based and made up so that we could reclaim our power as humanity and choose a different path. We could actually create this different world all together. However, what has happened in the past is that most people do not get on board. And so that's the information they're sharing with me now about what is a potential timeline. So in this scenario, the unawakened and the awakened diverge in a little bit of ways. So people that are unawakened after this big event are funneled into different types of enclosures, encampments, reduction of mobility. So think about cities that they're popularizing now that everything is walkable. You can't, you'll everything you need within 15 minutes. You don't have to drive. You can work here. You can play here. You can all your restaurants. You can live here. Or a lot of the state and government programs, or even jobs that are increasingly offering people places to live as a part of their work package that's close by. These are all part of systems to get people closer together. So there's the people who are going to be asleep and buy into that and willingly move into those. And then there's the other people who are also, on the other hand, going to be filtered into places similar but for different reasons. So if you notice that there is a lot of old prisons, abandoned prisons that are now being renovated and redone, not necessarily to house folks that are currently in jail, but they're being positioned as this is a solution for our unhoused crisis, or we can take folks who have come over without visas and they can stay here. There's also small towns and places that corporations are buying up and renovating it so that people are renting and there's no option to buy. Of course, I'm speaking about the United States, but this is all methods of filtering the population into very specific places. So when this major disaster happens, this is part of the culling process. Some people are just going to die. That's just how it is. Some people are going to survive. They'll go to one of those two places. And the people who are the weakest in society, meaning that they cannot or will not participate in the illusion, the structures, and they can't awaken, or they are unawakened, or they are awakened but for whatever reason do not have the resources, or they have limiting beliefs that still prevent them from seeing themselves as a creator to exit the system. A lot of those people are just going to be gone. So then these people are all quarantined off. Think like Silo, think like City of Ember. So these people are all in their own little worlds and functioning as if that was the only society that ever was. Now, this is not that crazy when you think about it, friends. Think about how little we have written down. Think about how much we rely on technology for communication. If all of this goes away and goes down, within a generation, no one would remember how the world was. No one. Think like what little we know. Look at the pyramids. No one can really tell you exactly how they were built. No one can really tell you what was going on and all of their purposes. Same thing with like the Sumerians, which was arguably one of the largest and first greatest civilizations that kind of started this season. But yet all we have are some like little pieces of, clay tablets that give us bits and pieces of stories. This is all by design, friends. There is no reason. And those are the things that survive. Think about how much didn't survive. Think about what's going on right now. And how many years do you think it would be for us to forget that Palestine was actually a place on this planet with its own people and its own culture and its own history? Within a generation, we won't remember. And once the Palestinians have intermixed and their bloodlines are completely just lost to the annals of history. So within a generation on that timeline, the entire world can be reset. What about the awakened people, you ask? The people who are following what we did in that video. So they're also separated as well. So the folks who are actively trying to exit the system because they are trying to grow their own food, they recognize what everything is, so they're finding their soul family, they're getting in these communities, they're trying to live the human existence the way the human existence was meant to live. There will be two options for them. So some of them will take that leap of faith and choose to be rejoined and choose to go back to parts of the actual the actual like dome, how it is, because these places still exist, friends. Lemuria is still there. Atlantis is still there. There's other things. They're laughing because they're like, you guys don't even know what you're talking about half the time. Sorry. Like, it's just, these things are still there. We just can't get to them because of the energetic barriers. And so we'll either get through the energetic barriers, or some people will be taken through the physical passages that are at different points on the planet. So like the ice wall is an example. But then there's people, even the awakened people, who will choose to not do that. I'm not going to say, maybe it's a little bit of fear, hey, I don't know what's over there. These aliens coming to get me, that's weird. Or rejoining or taking this idea, I'm going to go somewhere else. That's off. Some people just can't. It's not going to be the right fit. But a lot of people will just choose to say and reemerge and be living here.